Hello, this is Trish from Healing Meadows Farm. Welcome. As you can see here, we have a lot of friends swimming in our little pond here. A whole bunch of them there. That's a whole school of them there. That's the joy of country living. Taking time and you're looking at the water, and next thing you know, you see a bunch of fish. The man who had this property before us, he fully stocked the pond here, the spring-fed pond, with all kinds of fish. Don't ask me all the kinds, but there's a bunch. I know there's carp and all kinds of things, and wide-mouth bass. Okay, so this is our spring-fed pond. The water is, this basically pond was made over a spring. They basically dug it out because it kept getting wet, so they made it a pond. There was actually another, this was a spring. Then over there is another spring. And that was the one that we used to furnish. You see our house, as I've told before, I think, that we have 3 levels to our property. That is the top, this is the second, and then there is another level down there. You see it goes downhill down there. So basically, this spring-fed pond actually has culverts that are here so that when the water, as you can see down there, as the water goes overflowing or whatever, it will run under this little path and it will go down here into our creek. Bear with me because it's been winter, so I don't know what to expect because land changes with the water runoff. So it's really slow right now. So very relaxing. And that goes all the way out there. And it goes down and around, and it actually goes down to the bottom level of our property, which right now is pretty overgrown because it's been winter and we haven't went down there to mow, but that just gives you an idea. So we're going to go back up here, and this is basically, we had a spring. It was not developed when we came. They had it in that little cement thing there, and it was just running into a bucket, and it was just wasted water. So it was just think about water that constantly runs 24/7. That is an all-weather spring. That means it doesn't matter how dry it is. It doesn't matter the season. It runs all the time. And even if it is a stream coming out that is approximately the size of your pinky, my pinky's pretty small, but if that's running all day, all night, 24/7, 365, you got a lot of water. So don't let people tell you stuff, because they told us it would never maintain our house. And at the time we built, we had the 3 of us in it. I'll probably get winded over here, as hills and hollers. But that's where it used to be. But so it was behind this wall. We took it and had it developed by a company. We had the spring developed. That's a whole nother ball of wax. Not a lot of people do it, but there's plenty of videos online. The next time I would not have somebody else do it. The next time we're gonna do it. This is what they call the clean out. It's full of briars right now. I'm not gonna take it off because it's been winter. We haven't been down here. But that's the clean out. So that's where you can see, make sure your spring's running, make sure there's no, believe it or not, frogs or anything else that's gotten in there. And then it has a clean out overflow that goes down there. And so that, talking about springs, you don't want one that's just a seasonal, what they call a seasonal spring, which means it's only when there is a lot of rain, only when there is a lot of water. Those will not help you 100% of the time. These are some of our holding tanks. A holding tank is basically a brand spanking new septic tank. If you prefer it cement, There are plastic ones, but we did not prefer those. So basically, this is what a holding tank is. I think, and that's the second one. I think they told us that it holds either 1,200 or 1,500 gallons of water. Start doing your math of how much gallons you use in your home, and you'll find out that you can do a lot, especially if you are frugal with your water. This is what we had done. Like I said, it's been winter. It's not pretty. This is our runoff. So when that tank gets full, and we have 1,500 gallons in there, this is the runoff. This goes into a pipe. We have a pipe in that tank that goes under the path, comes out here. We've put a screen over it because of the frogs, but it comes out here, and we have it going right down into the pond so that it's not wasted. When we came here, just seeing that wasted water, knowing it is a precious, precious commodity when you're out here on the homestead. The last thing you want to see is it being wasted. So when I saw the bucket overflowing and it was just pouring out water, that, is a precious, precious item. Okay? So, I mean, this is how you need to think of things. The time of you having a sink with your water constantly running, that time is done. In the homestead, I don't sit there with my water running while I rinse a bunch of dishes and just keep it running. I rinse a few dishes and I turn it off because water is precious. I tell everybody you need to have at least 2 water sources. Now, there are water catchment systems that you can hook to your gutter. And you can have those, they hook to your gutter and then they hook to a barrel. And that barrel can be a 55-gallon barrel, whether it be plastic or whatever. There's views of people with plastic. Make sure that it's food grade. I have people that I've met tell me, oh, here's some barrels. Well, they have like poison signs on the side of the barrel. Note to self, you do not want to drink out of, I don't care how good you clean it. It had poison in it at one time. It's not good for you. So make sure it is food grade. But that is another thing in itself, because you do not know how much rain you're going to get. We had 2 years. This is a very, very rainy state when it comes to the winter and fall and winter. And we usually average, I think, 50 some inches or something. I forget. That's another thing. You can go on citydata.com and find out the statistics of your area, how much rainfall, how much sunshine. Those are really important when you want to go off grid as well, because you want to know how much am I going to have it conducive for my solar system? So, and I'm going to have my husband do the solar video. He knows a lot more and can give you tips on that. But yeah, you do need to know those things. So anyway, we were here with, thinking about that. And when it comes to the amount of water and everything, you can't waste a bit of it. And the water catchment system from the gutters, make sure that you don't just keep that water in there for years and years and years, because it's not going to be any good. After so many years, algae is going to build up, mold's going to build up. You don't want any of that. So what was suggested to us is the bleach water tablets that they use for like swimming pools, or that they use for your toilet tanks. They have the toilet bowl cleaner or whatever, the bleach tablets. Or you put some bleach in the 55-gallon. I think you can put either a half gallon, I can't remember, a half gallon or a gallon per 55 gallons. And it's safe and it keeps the water. Yeah, you could say, well, bleach isn't good for you. I hate to tell you, but when you're thirsty, you need to drink. And you can always use a charcoal filter to get that out. So we need to think practical, not always think so rigid. People had us believing that we'd come here and everything would just be sunshine and puppy dogs when it came to the wood stove and having enough wood on the property and all this. Believe me, people will tell you one thing, but in the end of the day, ask them, do they live it? And it'd be a totally different thing. So reality is you need water. So the water catchment system from your gutters is a good backup. I don't know that I'd ever tell anyone to have it as your main source. You need a spring, you need a well. Now, when it comes to spring, like I said, it's a very, very important that you know whether that can maintain your house and if it's an all-season spring. And there's tests you can do. I'm sure there's Google. You could Google it. When it comes to wells, you want a water geologist. You want somebody who knows and can guarantee you that when they drill a well on your property, they're going to find your water. We spent over $4,000 on a man who said he'd been doing it for 60 years with 60-plus-year-old equipment. Said, oh, I always can find water. Well, he came on the rainiest day of the season. And when he went to 27 feet, he found water, but he told my husband, oh, it's not good enough to sustain your home. He proceeded to go another, well, put it this way, it's a total of 300 feet. There's no money. If he found us water at 27 feet, there was no money in it for him. So he kept drilling. So we ended up with hitting a salt lick, which is in the countries and in the hills and hollers are salt licks. And actually, you could think you're on the beach when you taste the water that came out of that well. So I'm just telling you, make sure you got somebody that knows what they're doing, because he walked out with over $4,000 and he got us a Zippo on water and we couldn't do a thing. So you need somebody to educate you. I'm telling you what we learned, and that hit our pocket, and people took advantage of us not knowing. So I just want to encourage you, please get educated. Don't just say, it looks pretty, honey. The property looks so pretty. Let's take it. We looked at so many properties. We spent almost a year looking, and it was a pain. Sometimes you just wanted to settle for something. But eventually, you do have to put down your list. Let me tell you, you do have to say and be realistic what I want on this property. We have 49 acres, and I really wanted a pine tree. There's not one pine tree on this property. But you know what? It's all right. There's other blessings on the property. What I'm saying is that you have to have realistic goals when you come to the country. Like I tell people, the smoke doesn't come out of the chimney unless a tree falls. You cut it down, whether it falls on its own. You still got to chop it up. You got to still split it up. You still got to cart it to the woodshed and then cart it to your house. So it doesn't magically arrive there while you sit with your feet by the fire. So country living is real living. You have to really know that it's going to be work. And it doesn't mean it has to be drudgery, but it's going to be work. And you're going to have to get out there when you want least to do it. And that's not even counting the situation if you have livestock and that you've got to handle them and they've got to have water. Everything needs water to live. So you need to remember how much water you need for your family. When we first moved here, we did not have a water source yet, because eventually what we did is that we had to put a pump in there to pump it up almost 300 feet to our house. Well, that didn't come right away because we don't get in debt. So we had to wait till we had enough money. So Jack and Jill were taking buckets, 5 gallons at a time, up the hill, almost 300 feet. And thankfully, we were strong then. We didn't have a 4-wheeler, so we were carting it. So I just will tell you, it was a lot of work, but we learned a lot, and we learned how to be very frugal and very conscientious of how much water we were using. We were down to, as a family, each of us was doing 2.5 gallons a day for our needs. And then that wasn't mentioning how much for flushing the toilet and different things. You do what you have to do. That's a whole nother issue, is how to work with when you're first on your homestead and you're just paying as you go. Not everybody comes to homesteads independently wealthy. So you have to just deal with things the way you do. And so what I'm going to do over the next couple weeks is do videos talking to you about some of the things that we experienced. If you have any questions or things or topics that you would like to have covered, let me know. But for right now, that covers pretty much how we're going to start off with different types of water to look for on your property. Our next video, we'll get into some more details down and dirty about the wells, and also about the gutter, how they have sets, that you could buy, like a set or a kit that can help you with catching your water. There's many ways to do that. So stay in touch, and I'll be putting more videos on. So please like and subscribe. I appreciate you all watching. See y'all.